From Broadway lights to blues club nights, from Madison Avenue jingles to sharing the stage with legends, Steve Postell has lived a life scored in every key. Steve Postell isn't just a musician, he's a lifer. A singer, songwriter, guitarist, composer, and producer whose fingerprints are on everything from Broadway classics to modern-day rock documentaries. Raised on the East Coast and trained at the Mannes College of Music in New York City, Steve cut his teeth playing with country rock mainstays like Pure Prairie League before leaping onto the Broadway stage with electrifying turns in shows like Evita and The Man of La Mancha. But theater was just one chapter in a musical journey that was anything but scripted. By the late 80s, he co-wrote the score to the off-Broadway rock musical Fallen Angel, starring none other than Corey Glover of Living Colour. His guitar work would soon echo through the airwaves of ESPN's Sports Week, and in the film Jumpin' at the Boneyard, directed by Lawrence Kasdan and starring Tim Roth and Samuel L. Jackson. In between, he found time to become a sought-after composer for commercials, writing tunes for big league brands like AT&T, Pontiac, and DuPont. And when television came calling, he was a featured guitarist with many different artists. But perhaps the most spiritual chapter came when Steve composed the soul-stirring score for Dying to Know, the critically acclaimed documentary on counterculture icon Timothy Leary and Ram Dass, narrated by Robert Redford. Behind the scenes and on stage, Steve Postell was always in the room where the magic happened. He laid down the guitar on David Crosby's Sky Trails album and co-wrote and played on Crosby's final release for free. His solo project, Walking Through These Blues, is a personal statement that came packed with star power, featuring David Crosby, Becca Bramlett, Ian Matthews, Greg Lees, and more. And let's not forget the immediate family, a powerhouse supergroup born out of the studio collaboration with legendary producer and guitarist Danny Korchmar, with Leland Sklar, Waddy Wachtel, and Russ Kunkel on board. This wasn't just a band, it was the Mount Rushmore of session players. Their debut single, Cruel Twist, shot up the blues charts, while their journey was captured on an award-winning documentary by Wrecking Crew director Danny Tedesco. But even as he stood shoulder to shoulder with rock royalty from James Taylor to Jackson Browne, Michael McDonald to John Oates, Steve Postell remained grounded. Tragically, plans for a tour with David Crosby were halted with Crosby's unexpected passing. But Postell just finished a tour featuring that music called Our House, the music of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young by Friends. For Steve Postell, the music has never stopped. It evolved, deepened, and continued to connect because, to him, it's not just about playing songs. It's about living them. In the presence of the king, is it Elvis or is this, who is that about?
See, you know your music. So I don't know if you ever heard the song I Went to See the Gypsy by Bob Dylan. It's on New Morning, and he never mentions it, but it's about Elvis. It's about when he went to see Elvis. And it always struck me because I've been fortunate to have met, well, at this point, I met Paul McCartney last year. Who came to a rehearsal I was doing. I'd met.
So what was the circumstance of meeting Paul? I'd heard you before say in another interview you kind of gravitated toward John. Tell me about the experience of meeting Paul.
I was a musical director for a big benefit we were doing for first responders, and it was a pretty big benefit, and we had Maroon 5, John Fogerty. There were, a whole bunch of artists involved, and so we were rehearsing at Center Staging, which is a big. Probably the biggest rehearsal space in California, where all the big bands rehearse, and I had heard that we knew that Paul McCartney was probably was in one of the rooms rehearsing, and so, but I didn't think anything of it because he has security all around. I mean, it's not like we were going to go over there, and I'm playing and I look up and he's standing in our room, like watching us. And he said, "Yeah, I heard you guys were here, and I wanted to say hello. And I heard you're only here for one day, and it sounds great." And I'm just like, and I said, I think I said, I said, "Hey, do you want to join the band? Do you want to join our band?" He goes, "Well, I do know Hey Jude."
Huh.
Um, but such a lovely guy. We've all heard the stories that he is, but just that he made that effort, knowing, in my opinion, he knows that we're never going to forget that. He knows it's going to, I mean, he also wants to be one of the musicians. The part of it's that, I'm a musician too, and you guys are playing, and you're great musicians. Let me come in and say hi. So it was just a very special moment for sure. Um, and someone took a picture right when he walked up to me and said, "Hey, I know Hey Jude," and there's a picture of us at that moment, which is nice to
That's
have.
a good thing about today. You can take pictures because every artist I talk to say, "Can you believe it? I never took a picture because it was
Oh
the
yeah, I
70s."
have so many that. The other one like that was, Waddy was in the Expensive Winos with Keith Richards, and when we went to play the Iridium in New York City with the immediate family, there was Waddy said, he probably won't come, but you should know that Keith Richards might come to the gig." And sure enough, like 3 hours when we're doing sound check, and there's these security guys in there and checking out the room. It's like, I think those are Keith's guys, and Keith showed up, and I'm backstage in the green room, and there all of a sudden Keith Richards walks in and says, "Hey guys," and it was another moment like that. So I have had both as playing with them. I mean, 2 years ago I played on stage with Neil Young and Stephen Stills at the Light Up the Blues benefit, and so I've met at different times a lot of what I consider kings in the way that when Bill and Dylan went and met Elvis to me. So I always loved that song because he doesn't say Elvis, but those of us who are students of the music genre knew it was about Elvis. So that spurred me on to write What's It Feel Like to Be when you're meeting your these people that meant so much to you, and I met most of them. I met Tom Petty, and most of the people that meant something to me I've either worked with or gotten to meet, which kind of was what the song's about. One of the people on that benefit I talked about was Alan Parsons. So I think the reason Paul knew we were in that room was because Alan was there, and Alan Parsons had engineered
Abbey Road.
Abbey Road, right?
Yeah.
So they knew each other for many years. So my guess is actually that Alan may have already gone over and said hello to him. So that's how he knew we were there, I think.
Did you ever feel like you did without, or did you just want to be on that guitar? But and B, are there moments where you go, "Well, I'm glad I did that," because you got in the room with these people.
I mean, I feel always very grateful, a lot of gratitude, born out of a lot of hard work. I've done, Malcolm Gladwell says 10,000 hours. Musicians, it's 100,000 hours, of work to get to where. So I put in the time and the work, but and hung in there. And every time I get up to play, I never take it for granted. I just don't. And I've had so many beautiful experiences, and and I feel really fortunate, and I feel like we talked about earlier. I did create some of the fortune just by being bullish on the whole thing and pig-headed, and also by not. I don't have a lot of other. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a pet. I don't have plants. Like it's just. I've been able to put most of my time and energy into this thing for all these years. So yeah, I feel I always feel grateful every time I get on a stage and I look out and there's people there that have come to see music. I feel like this is pretty cool.
Two things for me growing older is loving what I do more than I've ever loved it, and two, understanding that it enjoy the moment. When my brother died, they were saying, "Oh, he beat drinking, he beat all his things, and now he's dead." And I'm going, "Yeah, but he got so much joy out of beating those things and learning those lessons while he was alive." What's your take on all of this stuff?
Well, there's no question that the more you can live in the moment, and not fret about the past or worry about what's going to happen in the future, the better off you are. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making plans, but there's so we can't I can't change the past, and I can't control. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I can make plans for it, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I can try to facilitate making those plans come to fruition. But so, yes, I mean, the whole reason that the Buddhist practice appeals to me is because, see, playing music is to really do it right. You have to be present. You have to be. The two things where you have to be present that I know of, like really present, are sports and music. When you're, you know, if you if there's 2 seconds left in the game, you're behind by 1 point, you're gonna take a shot. If you go, oh no, I have to make this shot because if I don't make it, you're gonna miss it. If you're totally present and you're doing the motion you've always done before, you have a shot at making it. And in music, I mean, audiences would notice if I was going, I hope I'm playing this right. I hope they like it. You have to be right there in the moment. Well, it's true with all of life. And that's why I started a practice where I could practice in between playing music or playing sports. That's why I like skiing so much, because you can't take your mind off. If you take your mind off, you're going to break your leg. You're going to fall. So you're sort of forced into it's a beautiful experience, but you're forced to be right there, paying attention to what's going on. And I love that feeling. So, yeah, I think it's it's an advantageous way to live, as well as I would recommend it, trying to be as much as present as you can be.